No, I'm sorry! I'm alone! Somebody get him off! Get him off! Ah!
What the?
Why is he only after me? What? What's good everyone, I'm Og, and in this video we're gonna take a look to see if you should play Dead Frontier 2. So what is Dead Frontier 2? It's a zombie survival MMO and an 8-player co-op. Now if you're an addict-dwelling, girl-repelling, dignity-selling hermit like me who can't find anyone to play with in an MMO, let alone a co-op with 8 other players, you might have a difficult time because Dead Frontier 2 can be quite miserable and boring by yourself. A shotgun ready, they gonna get blasted. Shot to the booty, I ain't talking no plastic. Killing Walking Dead, didn't call me my show. Only got my Discord, so I'm fucking alone. Gameplay. So aside from Dead Frontier 2 being quite difficult and boring to play alone, the gameplay in Dead Frontier 2 is a little like Resident Evil. You got the Stalker, which is like Mr. X, tentacles coming out of everywhere, constantly worrying about ammo, nasty bosses, and opening doors. A lot of doors. Seriously, it's like a door simulator. Now, when it comes to gameplay performance, Dead Frontier 2 can sometimes be quite buggy or not at all depending on the mode you're playing. In single player, there's barely any, but if you're playing multiplayer, some of the most common issues will be players disconnecting, buttworms not dying, audio and visual bugs, and sprinting glitches where your character will run without you pressing anything. Content. In content, Dead Frontier 2 can be very little or a lot depending on how you look at it. If you look at it as a whole, majority of the time, all you pretty much do is accept missions, go to mission locations, complete what's needed for the mission, then go back to an outpost to turn it all in. But if you look at it more thoroughly, Dead Frontier 2 can offer quite a bit. There are a ton of bosses to fight that will bring quite a challenge, cash op, occasional events, crafting, looting, leveling, stat building, and puzzles to unlock treasures. Cash op. While cash op is mainly for cosmetics, Dead Frontier 2 definitely does have a pay-to-win feel to them, as you can buy members that gives you loads of benefits, sellable credits for in-game money, and to buy storage and slot expansions that is pretty much an essential quality of life. Seriously, playing Dead Frontier 2 without slot expansions is like eating a vegetable. Sure, you might get the job done and it might taste good, but man, that wheelchair is so inconvenient, like it's so heavy. How do you even progression? Progression in Dead Frontier 2 can really vary depending on person to person because it's really hard to say. If you play single player like I did, starting off can be very annoying. As soon as you finish one mission, you will most likely have to return to outposts to sell or scrap your items due to inventory space. And what makes this even worse, there's no fast travel option for you to go back to the mission spot, so you're forced to run all the way back afterwards. But if you're playing multiplayer, limited inventory space isn't that big of an issue, because you can always use your friends as storage. Did you just buy my stuff? Dave, what the hell, man? I actually needed that.
Sucker. It's mine now.
Early game. Early game in Dead Frontier 2 can be a little boring, while starting off can be a bit challenging with a bunch of stuff thrown at you at once. Once you get the hang of it, monsters can be quite easy as all you're doing is dodging and gunning. Bosses are usually slow, and normal zombies don't really sprint at you. Hey Dave, you wanna know what the difference is between you and the Stalker?
Sure.
The Stalker's always there for me, unlike you ditching son of a... Mid-game. Mid-game in Dead Frontier definitely brings more of a challenge, especially if you're under-leveled. Majority of monsters will sprint at you, everything's more hard-hitting and tankier, and the bosses have crazier abilities. Endgame. Endgame in Dead Frontier 2 is all about how you build your character while grinding for EXP and loot. While the non-boss zombies become much easier to deal with, the boss zombies are still very difficult depending on the environment you're fighting them in. Seriously, fighting bosses without the knowledge or proper equipment is like challenging death to a pillow fight. Unless you're prepared, you better be ready for the repercussions. Get it? This is a reaper. I'm sorry, guys. Looting. Looting in Dead Frontier 2 is based off of RNG and area. The higher level the area, the higher level the loot. However, the quality is random. While you can get a level 26 pistol with really good stats, you can also get a level 35 assault rifle with no stats. Leveling. Leveling Dead Frontier 2 can be a slow process if you don't know what you're doing, because majority of EXP come from events and missions, and if you've done your missions already for the day, you can't really play with your friends on them because you won't be rewarded. While you still can gain EXP from killing monsters and stuff, there's just not much of it to go around. PvP. And finally, PvP. There's not much of it, so here's a clip of me fighting with my friend.
Oh jeez, the shotgun is OP. piece of shit.
So, should you play Death Frontier 2? Now, to truly answer this question, just a few things to consider. Do you like challenging games? Do you enjoy a game with a lot of grind? How much does limited storage space bother you? And are you able to pay or grind for cash up? While there are some quality of life inconveniences that will bait you into purchasing cash up, the pay to win aspect of free to play also allows players to grind for cash up with in-game money. And if you ever get into competitive stages, you can also compete for cash up and unique in-game rewards. So if you can say yes to at least one of these things, I would recommend it. It's free, it's something to consider, and best of all, can play with other players.